Hi guys, Lofty back with another tutorial. Today I'm going to be going over using Jetpack Navigation in a native Android app to add navigation between fragments to your Android application. And as of early 2020, this is the recommended way to perform navigation by Google with the one activity and multiple fragment kind of model for your app. It's not necessarily the best as there are alternatives out there, but since it's being pushed by Google, I think it's important to know. And as you'll see, it's pretty easy to use. So in this tutorial, we'll be going through how to navigate between two fragments within one activity and then pass that data between them using the safe-args plugin and Jetpack Navigation. All right, so here we are, just in a brand new empty activity Android Studio native Android project. So first we'll go through just what you need to set up navigation. And the first thing you need to do is just go into your app build.gradle file and add a few dependencies. So we're using Kotlin, so we're going to use the Kotlin navigation dependencies. So we're just going to put them down in our dependencies section. So there we go. We just need these two. And you can just search for Jetpack Navigation online and you'd find them real quick. In addition, there is one other thing that I've noticed a problem recently is it will actually have problems finding your some of your layout files if you don't have data binding enabled. So we're just going to put that in here right here real quick in the Android tag. Just data binding enabled equals true. And in the future, you might not actually need this, but for right now, I found there's a problem. So we'll just go ahead and sync that. And then there we go, all good. So what we're going to do first is we're just going to make two fragments for what we're going to do. We're going to navigate between two fragments in one activity. So the first one is go to new fragment, and we'll just do a blank fragment. And I will call this input fragment. There we go. We don't want the factory methods, but we do want an XML file. Can delete this comment, and then we're going to go ahead and we'll just make the other one right now while we're here. Do everything at once. So I'll call this one result fragment. And then the next thing we want to do is we want to add a navigation XML resource file. So you'll right click on res, new Android resource file. And for the type, you want to select navigation here. And then I will just call mine navigation. You can name it whatever you want. You can be more specific if you want. And then you see I added this navigation directory in your res folder. And then here is your navigation file. And then what we want to do is you can do everything just by code, but I think for setting up a simple one, it's really easy to use the GUI editor here. So basically what we want to do is we want to add our two fragments here and then connect them with an action. So I'll show you here real quick. So create new destination, we'll do fragment input, and then add the next one, which is the fragment result. Put them next to each other like this, and then yeah, see it's a real nice GUI. And then basically what we can do here is we're just going to drag one to the other to say, hey, navigate from this input fragment to the result fragment. And then we also want to go back. And just like that, it creates a loop. And the cool thing is when you have a bunch of them, you can actually just see a nice graph for how your navigation is working and decide what fragments are able to go to other by defining actions. And then if you look at these right here, you'll see they have IDs. So this is the actual ID of the action that you'll be referencing later. So you want to make sure each of these has one. I'm just going to keep it the default. They are kind of long and wordy, but we'll just keep it like that for default. But you can change this to be more reduced, more simple if you would like. And then if you go over here, you can see the actual XML for it, and you can edit this as well, change the name of your IDs. And such, and you'll see a little error here. It just says that we're not using this navigation anywhere, so we're actually going to go fix that right now. So what we want to do is we want to go to our activity main XML file, layout file, and what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of this text view, and what we want to do is we want to add in a nav host fragment. So two ways we could do it. We could go over here, type in nav host fragment, and just drag it in there. And then you'll want to actually select the navigation that you made here. So hit OK. And you can go over here, and then we can customize everything. Make sure it's aligned with our constraint layout, has all the constraints and such, any margin and such, and do that. I'm actually gonna copy over here. I have some margin set just to 8 everywhere, but so I'm not doing it. Taking extra time here, I'll just copy that in here. So you can look at that. It's all pretty much simple stuff. The important things here is it's just referencing your nav graph, the navigation file we just made. Default nav host is true, so it defaults to that. And that's pretty much it. I guess this name is important too, and then you'll want to just make sure you have an ID that you're going to know for the feature in case you need to reference it. So now that's all the XML for right now. Close all these out, and then we'll go over to our main activity, and we'll actually get a reference to that nav host fragment that we just made. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to make a latent init variable here, call it nav controller, just like that, perfect. And then we're just going to say nav controller is equal to navigation, find nav controller, and it's going to be this for the view, and then just r.id.fragment. So that's the ID I just told you that you have to know. So this just references that fragment nav controller that we just made. Okay, and then one other thing we want to do is we want the hardware back button for our phone to actually work with this navigation. So it's real simple to do that. We're just going to add on support navigate up function here, an overridden function. And then we don't want to return this. What we want to return is navigation UI navigate up, that same nav controller that we just have, and then null. And this is just saying that when you hit the back button, it's just going to go up on the nav backstack. So yep, you just want to have that in. If you don't want support for the back button, then you wouldn't have that in. And you can also do more fancy things with this if you want to look into it. And then next what we want to do is we want to customize the XML files for two fragments. So we're going to make them real simple here. So open the input and the result. And basically I just want to have a little text view with the name, and then we're just going to pass that name to the next one. And then a button on each for the actual navigation. The important thing here is you want to wrap your layout. So your constraint layout, right now it's a frame layout, but whether you use constraint, relative, linear, etc., you want to wrap that just with a generic layout tag. And this is for the safe-args that we're going to use in a little bit to pass data. It's just a requirement for it. So I'm going to actually paste in my layout files here, and then I'll talk through it, so I'm not spending the time coding it all out. So here we go for our input fragment. So basically you put your layout tag up here, like I said, and then you have all your namespaces in that one. And then we have a constraint layout here, just referencing your input fragment. And then I just have an edit text and a button for enter name and save name. Real simple. Really nothing unique here. So we'll go over to the result fragment, and this is going to be the same. So just instead of an edit text, it's going to be a text view. And as you see, once again, layout file on the outside, constraint layout. For the tools context, referencing the result fragment, and then just a text view and a button. So real simple. And so now that we have that, we actually want to make this work. So we want to go into our two fragments, so the input fragment and the result fragment. And what we want to do is we want to add an onView created, just like that. I'll keep the super. And then what I'm gonna use Kotlin synthetic views just to make this quick and simple. So button submit is what I named the XML button on my input fragment. So we're just gonna set an on-click listener on that, and I'm gonna do val action. Then what you want to do is just reference the action of the action in your navigation. So if you remember here, went back here, here is the two action IDs. So just the ID for that. So we want this one, input fragment to result fragment. There we go. And then now to actually do the navigation, when I click on it, you're going to use the navigation class, find nav controller. It'll be it. Then we're just going to navigate to the action. So super simple. Super simple. And then basically on the result fragment, we're going to do pretty much the exact same thing. So I'm actually going to copy this over here. We're going to add it over here. And then we just want to change some stuff. I won't take in that guy. So now we just want button back. And we want to change the action. So action, we're going result fragment to input fragment. And then that's it. And so now if we run this, we actually should just be able to navigate back and forth between them. We won't be passing data yet, but we'll do that right after. All right, so here we are. It's a super simple app, but we'll just hit save name and it should bring us to the next fragment. So here we go. It does. So here's where we'll display the name. And we just go back, it goes back there. So real simple, and there's hardly any code to that. So that's kind of how simple navigation is. And then as you can imagine, as you make it more complex with more fragments, this graph will just look more and more complex, but the actual code is pretty simple. But now I guess the big important thing is how to pass data. And so we're going to be using the safe-args plugin for that. And that also just makes it real easy. Kind of works hand in hand with Jetpack Navigation. So there are two things we need to do first, just for the Gradle files. So in the project level, we need to add a dependency. So just into the dependency section, you're going to add it for the safe-args plugin. Here we go. And then for our app level, we actually want to add the plugin. So we'll add it right there. And then we'll just sync that. Okay, awesome. So now what we want to do is we actually want to do a little refactoring and then also pass the data in. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we actually want to add an argument to our navigation here. So it's going to be on the fragment that is receiving the argument, not the one that's passing it. So the one that's getting it and displaying it will be the one we add it to. So we're just going to add an argument tag, just like that. Close it off while we're here. Then what we want to do is we want to have an Android name. I'm just going to make my name underscore arg. Default value, I'll put not entered, and then an arg type. And so there's a bunch of different data types, all kind of the standard you'd be used to in any normal programming language, but you can look them up. We'll do string, just like that. And cool, there we go. And then the one other thing we want to do before we do anything is because we added the safe-args plugin, it's going to generate some files for us. So we're just going to go to build and rebuild project. Okay, cool. So now what we want to do is going to go back into our input fragment. And what we're going to do is we're going to get a reference to that name entered. So name entered is what I'll call it, equals, and then just edit text name. Get the text on that and just, oops, toString there, get a string. And we actually want to refactor our actions. So now that we're using the safe-args plugin, we have access to this generated class. So it's going to be called input fragment directions. And then we can call the actual action instead of using the ID now. So it's going to be this guy, action input fragment to result fragment, just like that. And then what we want to do is on that action value, do action.nameArg. So the arg that we just actually made, we can just reference directly and just set it. So we're just going to set it to name entered, just like that. And then this stays the same. You're just passing this action and just passing that. So it's similar to how it used to work in Android, where you're passing stuff in the intent, but it's kind of a lot more simple with this and easier to understand for someone new coming into it. So now we'll go over to the result fragment, and here's where we'll actually read that value and then display it in our text view. So I'm going to add up here a private variable called name result. set it to an empty string. So now what we want to do is you want to get that. So we're going to do arguments. So let, so pretty much if it's not null, and then name result is going to be equal to, it's going to be result fragment args from bundle it, and then it'll just be name arg reference there. And then we're just going to set the text to you. So it's call it TV result name dot text and set that equal to the name result. And then the last little thing I want to do is I just want to actually refactor my action here to be consistent with using the result or using the directions auto-generated class. So we're going to do result fragment directions here. There we go, and that's it. And so now we should be able to run this and actually see the name pass through. All right, so here's our name. So I'll type in right there, Lofty. Check, save name, and display it right there. So we can go back and we can type in a new name. LOL. Good, save name, and there it is right there. So that's pretty much it. So nice and simple, just a simple example. I'm planning to do in my next few videos some more Jetpack tutorials, kind of go through a lot of the popular Jetpack components. But otherwise, let me know if it's something you want to see, and if you have any problems or questions with this, please leave a comment and let me know. Otherwise, thanks for watching, guys.